want you to try to fix those mistakes moving into the next charts. All right. So we're going to quickly again, we're looking for points of contact and the 3 or 2 off of the bottom. Empress, very good job. Obviously, a very clear 24-hour box with multiple points of contact. We can see the wick here, wick and body there. So great job on that one. This is clear. It could be shimmied down there, but again, you get the picture. And I'd like attention to detail, and I want you guys to focus on that. But if you ever feel like something doesn't line up, or you can always move down into the lower time frames. All right, so good job on that one. Keep pushing. So this is just the weekly box. Good bounce off of that floor. Not a box, right? It is 3 candles side by side, but we could probably say something like that is a box, right? Or maybe even this, but that right there, not quite yet. Good job on the 24-hour time frame. But all right, search for stocks that recently had earnings to find one that. Okay, so let's look. Here's what I will say about this, okay? And I want to be, super clear on it. Yes, right? They are 24-hour ranges or zones. As soon as you go to the 4, right? And you're likely going to see the box. So it's not wrong to identify these things, and they mostly do serve as signals. Um, However, with things like this, even just a little bit off on the wicks kind of throws that bottom off, right? Where you can kind of track the 3 here. I think that one might be best solved, so good. It is something to identify. It is important, clearly, right? Probably the same trigger, but would be clear, I think, on a lower time frame. So let's see this one. That's a range. I only see one off the bottom and one off the top. Same thing over here. That would be more, right? Even though it's extended, you would still have more of a box kind of in there. This again, so let's count, right? So in this one grouping together, 24-hour candles, we count that as one. And then up at the top, right, we get a grouping of candles, so we count that as 2. So identifying both, or what we could even conclude to be separate ranges, that's separate from this. So we can't really call that one a box. That's great. That's a good box. Points of contact, punches through the box. It's at the floor now. I can't see what's here behind the earnings tag, but it does appear that, yes, that would be a box, or your most recent time frame box in front of you. Everybody can hear me okay? I'm hoping. Okay. Keep it pushing here. MOS, not a box. That, yeah, yeah, that's close. Yeah. Rough though. Oof. So again, kind of telling the story here, it almost appears that you have your own grouping of candles there. You pull back and then you pop up, and I'm not sure what caused it, but you gap down or pop down, close at the floor, and retest. So I mean, it does have the 2 points. It has the 2 points, or maybe even 3 points there. So it's kind of a weird mutant box, and it moves in that way too as well. So not everything is a Potter box, right? And that's the not every range is a box. Is there always going to be boxes in there? Yes. Um, Obviously, not all of them are always as clear. All right, so 24-hour weekly boxes. So we can't call a group of candles together a box, right? Just can't. Is that a great area of consolidation? For sure. Um, it does obviously seem to lead to that lower time frame, which I can see why one might struggle with that one. So let's do it. All right. And I'm gonna take you guys' questions here in just a little bit as we do a recap. Okay, so here's how I think I would do this one. In a 24-hour, I mean, if I'll be honest, I usually will do something like that, right? That would be points of contact enough. You seem to scrape by here. So let's look at the four. Yeah, yeah, that's clear enough. So I would kind of leave it like that. Just again, you're trying to make sure that you have those points of contact down at the bottom. Um, little kooky though. Again, this is something where you could probably move down into a lower time frame. Um, Actually, you know what? I wouldn't advise doing that at all. I would focus on the 24-hour time frame. All right, let's see here. Coin. What are we pointing at here? Okay, so I see two separate points of contact, kind of a weird build, right? And again, a group of candles side by side does not qualify as a box. Is it probably a box on a lower time frame? Yes. Do I box them up and identify them? Yes. Are they good targets? Good entries, right? Same thing, tomato, tomato. But are they a box? Not here, right? Now, again, like I said, you probably move down and see the box or see a box, right? It's kind of unusual, right? Because you really don't, I would say the points of contact come off of that. But I mean, the bounce off the floor, move to the top, not bad. However, getting to what I was talking about over to our left, yeah, we can't call that a box, right? Obviously we can go down and problem solve, but this right here, that is a range, folks. Not qualified as a box. Again, is there boxes in it? Oh yeah, right? Ranges, all that good stuff. But on the higher time frame, it doesn't work like that, right? And that's what we're looking for in order to get some of these bigger plays. All right. Don't feel bad. All right. I'm being trying to be straightforward with you guys. So that way you guys can make the corrections you need to make. And the reason I want you to look at the 24-hour boxes is because while Uh, they're not always in existence. There's some always happening, but those are the ones that are the clearest and easiest to trade and typically give the clearest signals. So I like my boxes to be clear. All right. So this, yeah, 1, 2, 1, kind of, right? So again, maybe we call that a range. It is a box. I think again, this one gets to, let me see. Do you have the weekly on that one? Or excuse me, the 24-hour on that one. Where the hell to go? No, you don't. So this is where, kind of zoom out here. So on the weekly, right? And this is where you get your greater details. Still kind of yucky on now. I think I'd probably leave it just like that. It seems to agree. Maybe even bring that down to the red candle close here, since that's what we're bouncing off of. So I think I would, again, kind of, and that one doesn't, again, we got to be real with ourselves. It's not really a box, right? Not fully. It's still, again, a zone represented with good volume. Obviously, we're bouncing off of it for sure. Um, this right here, again, 4 hour, that's a box, right? Points of contact are clear. 1, 2, 1, 2. Cost basis, that's clear. All right, let's keep it pushing, guys. And what I'll do here is we'll probably do some more chart request, or start charting some things. Um, or I might even actually, yeah, I might do that today. Everybody got their laptops, I'm assuming computers and all that good stuff. Charting is available. Also, that's crazy, Shane. All right. So again, candles side by side without proper points of contact do not count. Right. So while as great as that consolidation is, right, on UNH, and I have it boxed out the same way, right, because that's what we would do. But again, qualifying this as a box does not count unless it's on a lower time frame. Totally fine, right? Totally fine. And that's where we want to be able to. We want to make sure we know which time frame we are looking at, right? The 4 hour, it's like you're going to give us a 4 hour move. Um, so again, I don't want you guys to feel bad about identifying these areas, right? But there is a difference between a candle side by side, right, and something that has been consolidating for a week or two and has that up and down, right? It's gone up in a range, down in a range, up in it, and that's when we really want to be able to. That's when you have a Potter box, which again, the punchback is a promised new high, new low, and that's what I obviously am gravitating towards. Does the lower time frame setups also count? 4 hours still good? Yes, but want to make it clear. Damn. Oh, there it is. Oh, you guys just dropped all your charts here. Didn't know about Sunday chart day until I saw the video of people reviewing people's. Gotcha. All right, I'll let you work on that one again. Right. Obviously, groups of candles next to each other, not identifiable as boxes. Now, you would be better off encapsulating the whole thing as a box versus the little bit in between. Unless, and that's what I thought, you have lower time frame boxes. Maybe yes, right here. Yes, your chart gets a little bit confusing with everything on it. So just 24-hour boxes, right? I see that you got the 4 hour. I just read your message that they're all kind of blended together. Obviously for this exercise, I want to be able to see your box clear. Pause, but I do see the box up above, so that's good, right? This right here could probably be encapsulated as its own box, but I need a little bit of a cleaner chart on that one. Let's keep speed it up. No, that's just a range, right? Kind of have the top and the bottom here, but I'd love to see maybe a weekly time frame on that one. Better, but look what you're leaving out. See that right there? Tap, 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 tap. That's the box. Attention to detail, guys. Go let your eyes scan across all of those candles that are in range. All right, take your time when you're doing it. So that way you can, again, I would rather you take forever on the first chart and prioritize accuracy over speed, period. Right? You want to train your brain. You'll get better and get faster, but you need to be making sure that your eyes are looking at the right thing or looking for the right thing. Too wide of ranges right here. Again, kind of tough to tell. I do see, yep, you definitely want to raise that up a bit to the top. Tap, tap. All right. Again, this isn't to hurt your feelings. This is to make you better. That could be a box. That could be a box in the making, right? Points of contact are there. Rotations are there. Obviously, if this one goes higher, it's not a box. So I'll accept that one. You're cutting through way too much price action here. All right. There's, again, a top over here to your left. Yeah, I think I already charted this one a couple times. Yeah, S&P inclusion. So this is probably where, again, you might even be able to come to the conclusion that there is, and I actually see it on the weekly. So on the weekly, bam, bam, not hard, right? Rotations, they're there. Points of contact wicks are not off of the same exact mark. So we're going to focus on the candle closes and the wick at 159. That is the box, right? Again, I'll mark those points of contact out for you. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Everybody got that one? So that's the box I would want to see. Does it fall apart on the 24-hour? You betcha. You betcha. Right? But it's important that we have that weekly time frame there. That would be the first retest level. All right. That's the first area you had to fight for. It's going to be the first area you land. All right. I can't, obviously this one's not going to be acceptable either, right? With your leave. Look, I'm going to zoom in, so I'm not going to just tell you no and leave it at that, right? See this? Tap, tap, tap. Clearly there's a floor there that you lose. Try to reclaim. This volume stops you, and then you build up and sneak in, right? But we cannot off of 1 and 1. Now, maybe in the future, but based off of the price action now, no. Now, how would I look at this on Microsoft? I wouldn't, right? This is one of those charts where I'm focused on the points of contact, right? Or the floor that it needs to hold. Looks like it's going to be right about there. And obviously the overhead, which I can see here, we'll give the bottom of those candles. But because it's not very clear, I don't waste my time. And I would just be focusing on this 4-hour chart, right? This is obviously no go. We don't want price to fall underneath 402. Clearly, price has made that a clear level. Now, on the 4-hour, I could encapsulate this. Is it a box? No. Is it Maybelline? Could be. But is it a range or 4 candles separately side by side? Of course. Can I play it the same way? Yes. Has it reclaimed its floor? Also, yes. Could I look for, again, a 412 candle close to look for continuation into more volume? If that's really your cup of tea, actually, there's empty space in there up yonder. Ooh, 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 damn. Ah, okay. So you're having a hard time grabbing hold of that bad boy. Look at that. We're telling the story. So above 412, that's relatively empty space, and so is that. So it's important that we get into the areas that are clear. If the 20, and the reason that I asked you guys, not to give me just clear boxes all over the place, but on 24-hour and weekly, those are where those bigger plays begin. And I want you guys to train your eyes, obviously, on that first. Lower time frame, greater detail. Higher time frame, less. All right, now I saw this one from a mile away, and no. All right, now not as a box. Let me see. So we can't do that, right? And if we were to do that, right, we would have to include the bottom here. So not a box, guys. However, right, your eyes are seeing something that is true. And I think we had it something like this. Was that a punch back through this range, right? Or 24-hour, right? Yeah, we can pull that candle right down there. Was that a punch back on the weekly through this range? Yes, I would say so, right? And I guess we're gonna leave it right there because and that is true. Yes. Candle close, candle close. Finally, a candle squeaks and you're up. So that is in fact the resistance. Took a second there to find it. It's not clear. Again, we want exact wicks off of the same mark in order to mark that as a box resistance high. So that is a box that has happened, right? But not with this big move up. The only other thing that would happen off of that is you would be predicting a big ass range like that, right? Which God forbid that happens because we're going to be in monthly hell. I'll take a look at that one in just a second. I want to move through the rest of this homework. Never thought 1,000% were possible until I started using the Potter box method. Hit that today. We are at the right spot. Yes. Verbally assault you. Uh-oh. Is that golf man's brother? Listen, we're going to get you guys up to speed. All right. I'm gonna, just because the class ends doesn't mean I go away. You can still be posting your charts in the morning, right? You can be posting your charts and say, hey, does my chart look good? Have I identified a good play? So if you have time, which if you're listening to me, you should, uh, this is something that you're going to keep having to work at. But as soon as it clicks, and I know a lot of you veterans in here can resonate with this, as soon as you start seeing it, it becomes like breathing. All right. So anyway, that again, trying to be clear on there's okay. So again, right, not a box. Points of contact leaving, you'd be better off encapsulating the ranges that it has now. Like there's a box right here, right, with a floor right there and the cost basis right there. That is true. Um, and that's where you would want to focus more or less on that 24-hour time frame. I believe that, yeah, so like I have mine set up like this and like that with a perfect wick off cost basis. The floor right here needing to be reclaimed. Again, you could probably encapsulate today's price action. Man, you have exhausted this 24-hour floor on Tesla. That's just like the Qs. It's very odd, actually. Gap down, pop, gap down, die, gap down again, pop, get nothing, die, gap down, flush, and then pop, but you don't. So we would have to kind of finish that move tomorrow. Sorry, I just broke into analysis. Can't help it. All right, let's see here. Disney, not gonna happen, right? That right there, again, is it likely something on the lower time frame? Yes. Did you also choose the hardest stock in the world to try to find shit on? That is also true. Not in the world, but Disney gets real choppy, real ugly, and real fast. In fact, this thing is because it's of the dinosaur that it is, it actually presents very clear weekly boxes, right? And just in case this exercise has made you stop believing that those exist, I'm here to make you feel all right. Unacceptable. Why is my box turning purple? Imagine I went to the doctor and said that. Why? Why? I don't like that. I don't like that. There, see, back to normal. Lord have mercy. Imagine my window's open right now. Anyway, so Disney, or I was rudely interrupted by purple. Yeah. So before you stop believing in boxes on the weekly, they are real, right? And they lead to some incredible price action, folks. You want something that's going to keep running. You want longer expiration, possibly less stress. Those weekly boxes, or even if it's just a weekly range, can be very useful. But the slower it moves, listen, the slower it moves, what do you think is going to be the clearest time frame? The weekly, right? Starbucks, I believe, is the same way. Dinosaur moves like a dinosaur. All right, let's keep doing this homework here. So to correct you, right, before I move on, sorry, obviously nada, right? Too much, not enough points of contact, and you're highlighting nothing, right? There's nothing actually. You have one candle, but there's no other points of contact there. This just a mess, right? So we want to clean that up. So let's go down and let's clean that up. And maybe, right? Just maybe there's no way to do that. So it looks like you got today. All right. What time frame was that on? Weekly. Ah, okay. All right. Okay. So let's make this clear. Do you see a wick, candle, body, anything off of this price? I don't. Do you see any? I would say yes, actually, before I finish my question. Yes, we do see wicks up above, but that seems more like a retest, right? where you wick up, sellers control that price. Now, this right here, again, what you were just highlighting, I probably would have given it that floor because when you bounce, that's what you try to obviously recover. Now, how does that hold up on the lower time frame? Disintegrates, right? I would say that this is still probably true, but now you've got this, right? Kind of hidden in there. And you've got this. And what does this mean for me? More work. More work. All right. So let's see. What do you got next here? We got General Mills. That's better. That's better. Way better. Love that. So you get at least, lots of wicks on this one. So things you obviously are pretty crazy with it. But as far as the 24-hour, right, you still see it bouncing. It's not worried about these wicks. It's worried about the points of contact, right? And that's what you come back up and retest. So that's acceptable. That's a good one. All right, let's take a look at Hood for Mercy. No Mercy though. Oh, ooh, real close to let's investigate. So, does it have everything it needs? That's so close to being a point of contact. Uh, that's dropping. Tap, tap, tap. I bet you that's a bunch of lower time frame hot dog water. I'm going to give you this one. All right. It's unusual. It's a little freaky, but borderline not a box. But this right here, I think, is acceptable as a price that clearly holds. This wicks up, so we'll give you that one for sure. Now this one, I don't know if I can let this one slide. All right, we're leaving too much on the floor out, guys. We know exactly what we're looking for, and it should all be in one session. So let's look. Right now, I can clearly see that this is not a price that Reddit wants to let go of. Personally, I think I would probably focus on that. And let's see, where were you at? Very close. Yours is weird. Why is yours weird? Oh, it's not that. Yeah, why is yours weird? Okay. So I mean 140, yes, would be the overhead resistance there. Looks like that gets pulled down to 151.85. Yeah, so I would leave it. I would probably have it just a little bit cleaner. And I'm not sure why yours is like that, but mine is pretty much flat across the board. So make sure you have all your data, ARCA, NYSE, all that. Tell me if anything changes. All right, let's see here. Ivan, I had to give you an F. I know exactly. He posted the trade we took today. That's crazy. Is it true? Yes. Is it on the 24-hour time frame? Absolutely not. It's not. Uh am I happy about it? Yes. So I'll give you a B. But this was absolutely an hourly, right, or 30-minute punchback through a box. Retesting the floor here this morning before we getting news that maybe war is over. So yes, but also no. It didn't follow instructions. We'll try again. All right. That's the hourly, right? 24-hour and weekly boxes, guys. Now, did you identify a 24-hour box on the hourly? You definitely did, right? Yeah. It's got all the makings of greatness. Yes. Also, Amazon. Nice. Nice bounce. That's juicy. So, no to your lower time frame, but yes to the higher time frame. All right, let's look at this one. I actually had an alert go off on this one at the end of the day, or right before the end of the day. Joby Aviation popped up, and this is either going to be a sweep for sell liquidity, right? Pick up some more sellers and price drives down, or because of the empty space directly up above you, yeah, obviously you could be looking at the upside. Now, your box is, from what I can tell, correct. Nope. What are you missing? Look at the bottom of that candle. Da 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 da. Got to give it that respect. All right. Not bad though. Not bad. All right, let's keep it moving. We're almost done. Kind of. Yes. I would pull this up a little bit, my friend, just so that wick hits the bottom of those green candles. I mean, it's fine where it's at. Let's see here. I think, yeah, the way that I drew it before that dip, right, on the 24-hour. Here's just the 24-hour. Oh, never mind. I'm charting the wrong box. My bad. Okay, so you're looking over here. That's got to be a weekly box, man. Yeah, that's got to be more of a weekly range, I guess, if you will. Um, Not really enough points of. I mean, you got three candles tapping off or holding the same floor, so we might be able to a little two-step in there, but ultimately, I think it's more of a weekly range. The 24-hour. It's like you did have a box. You did try to make a new high, which is a possibility, right? We do try for new. I don't trade into new highs, and definitely, obviously, in this case, didn't. But this one seems to drop down, and I'm not sure if I'm missing whether this is a. And I see this very very seldomly, but typically you're going to build a box around cost basis on the lower time frame. In this case, you do not. So I would say maybe as an anomaly, right? This one does dip down, closes, pulls itself right back up, and then pops out, and finally you can see it hold that old cost basis and then makes a new high. But I think in relate, like really focusing on the weekly is it's an ugly chart. It's an ugly chart, but the weekly is where that structure is. All right, let's see. I'm only, oh, there you go, Mercy. Very good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, you got all this up here, but yes, that is like the gate guard for this empty space, for sure. All right, cool. Doesn't translate the same. You know what? I take that fucking back, Blinker. There is a wick, body, wick. I take it back. I'm sorry. That is a box. Technically, by all standards, that is a box. So I'll give you that one. Yeah, for sure. That's actually, damn, you got me. You got me. Real possibility. Uh, Ratarak. And I like that you highlighted the structure nearest to you. Great eyes. Good chart. I'll give you this one for sure, right? This is possibly a weekly box. Yes, there's a 24-hour box directly above us. And, I mean, again, this is subject to change because if this is a retest today and you die, sheesh. That's good. That's not. That's good. That top one right there is a range. That's good. That's good. That's not. Felt like you're testing me on that one. All right. So again, Starbucks is going to make your life harder. However, is that a 24-hour box with 3 off the top? I think we just looked at that one, but yeah, that would be qualified now as a box. Which is why I know some of you guys were looking at long at it. I have Starbucks and me just I've never had a positive P&L on Starbucks. I hit a huge like just consistently. I hit a really big trade on Starbucks a while back, but track record wise, trying to catch things on this one just hasn't I've had not had much luck with it. I'd rather you give me these wicks. If that's going to be a box, I'd rather you give me the wicks personally. And this is Irene Weekly. So what do you guys think, class? What do you guys think? Is this a box or a range? Let me see your guys' opinions. What do you think? Range. And why do you guys think shut up, Junior. Why do you guys think it would be a range comparatively to a box? Right? 3 on the bottom, yeah, for sure. But the top is not clear, right? Not on points of contact. That's right. So I think on this one, right? And again, not every problem has to be solved. Irene's not really the cream of the crop when it comes to trading setups. At least right now on the weekly, on the 24-hour, it does look like there's some room for something different to play out. Now let's take that same thing and let's go to the lower time frame. Interesting, huh? Hold on. I think this thing's in for some trickery. That's what I thought. So I think the points of contact aren't perfect, but I think that's pretty damn good. Again, I still want to keep that floor because clearly that's the floor that you hang on to. So we're gonna give it the wicks. Is it range easier to move through than a box? Um, Depends on like the stock. Um, yeah, range is easier to move through, right? Again, it still takes a catalyst typically to after if you're running up if you run to a 24-hour range, it serves the same thing as a box, right? It would be my first target. um so in intraday, ranges are easier to move through. I'll just say that, right? On the 24-hour, they serve as like nut checks. It's like you got what it takes to excuse my language, sorry guys. But it does serve as a litmus test, which I love to say, but for volume. But yeah, they can be they're not as heavy, right? So they can move through, just be bumps in the road, I guess, if you will. So excuse my language. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, there you go. Now that right there does seem to be a box right here. You got two multiple, so that looks like it's a box, but you said you can see the channel on this one? Oh, dude, I see channels on everything. When I die, I'm going to be watching my heart monitor charting it. Like, oh, freak out. All right, let's keep it pushing, guys. We're almost done. Almost done here. Nobody drop any more homework though. That's cheating. Now you can make it hard on yourself, I see. But I'll give you that one. It's a box. I do think the 2 wicks here count more though, but your top's good. And obviously, listen, I'm going to bring this up right now. UPS moves like hot dog water. Period. End of story. Unless it has a catalyst. Period. End of story. So even on a candle out, like look at what you have to go through. And you guys will notice that I stay away from certain stocks. It's not to say that the opportunity will not arise. You guys saw me with Nike. Some of you guys who have been in here for a while, you saw me with Nike. I love it, right? And then as soon as I'm done with it, you won't hear me talk about it again unless a setup similar or obviously fueled by the same thing is available. All right, let's look at this. ABBV. Good, 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 good. All right, good job. So this does have the makings of being potentially a very large weekly box, right? I need more than that, I think, in some ways. Let me look at it one more time. Sometimes it takes a second look. Yeah, I don't know if I can get that the box. I mean, the 24-hour, right? That's developing nicely, right? For sure. But I think one thing we don't have resolution on, imagine this, right? You bounce and then tomorrow you just flush. Is that a box? Right? No. That's one off the bottom, three off the top. So I would say no, but maybe. So not a box. Damn, is the bid really or the ask all the way up there on Unity? Did it move any in after hours? Hardly wants there to clear. So, although I did take this, there is no box here. Period. End of story. All right, just not a box. All right, there's no confluence in here. There's a lot of empty space. Right, there's a pretty clear target here of 2320. But look, Unity is going to make its boxes. Right, and if I'm not mistaken, it does what it needs to do. I mean, here you punch the box, pop up, make a new high. So I mean, yeah, it builds its boxes. So don't get it twisted. This thing's gonna do what it needs to do, and that's not. But obviously, if yeah, that's not a box. So 23 is the target for tomorrow. If we can keep it, or excuse me, sorry, 21. The fuck. All right, what else do we got? OLED. I got some of them on my TV right now, dude. I'm assuming these people make it. Yeah, because that's what they be putting on all the on TVs. 4K HD OLED display. My TV has AI in it, like an AI sound system in it. It's weirdly, really weird. It does make the volume seem like 20 times loud. Yeah, I'll give that to you. That's a box. It's real close to not being a box, but due to that bounce right there and hold, I'll give it that. All right. It almost bends the rules a little bit too much. Let's look at the 4. So it's kind of interesting because you actually have a box right there, right? And so on the 4-hour, it clears up a whole bunch. That's what you need to recover, and that's what you need to punch through. So, all right. Hit that one. All right, last one, and then we're gonna go ahead and take a 2-minute intermission. So go grab your water or whatever you need, little snack. Not yet. And guys, we don't want to see boxes that have candles closing outside of the floors. So if that's what you're concluding as a box, I would say no. I can see very clearly that that is a range you tried to punch through, right? Doesn't seem like it's a box, but you retested, found some new low. So that's a retest. Now, by recovering that retest, you allowed for price to go up and reach that high. And so maybe, right, in the future, but we can't be charting maybes, right? We're looking for good setups. Wait, what was that one? It was Amazon. Affirm. Well, tripping. Actually, I already have it there mapped out for you, dag nabbit. So on the 4 hour, right, kind of, it's actually still in play. In fact, I would keep my eyes peeled on this one tomorrow. In fact, uh, this might just be a slow motion punchback, but you do have a pretty solid shot at 54.26. So, like I said, this is not a box, but it's currently made up of a couple. But no, right? All right. So I definitely want to see, and I want you guys to keep working on these things, right? Um, so maybe I'll have you guys going into next class, and I want you guys to take your time on this. If you're rushing before class, maybe just wait. Don't even post a chart. And I get it, you're busy. I'm not saying you're being lazy or anything like that. But take your time. All right. And I want you to really, really focus on the most recent price contact, price, and then points of contact within that. Right. And I saw a couple of charts where you're just trying to encapsulate an area, right? But you're failing to see, I think it was that one chart where there was like 4 or 5 wicks off of a box that, you had over encapsulated. So focus on those tops and bottoms on the boxes and candle closes. And then one of the things that again is going to be one of the main priorities is the rotations, right? We want to see price is tapping, rotating um off of, and again, this is the 4 hour, but not just for, and yeah, it's not just 24-hour candles side by side. That is a big sign that the 4 hour has a box. But when so are you guys understanding the difference, right? The 4 hour is 24-hour candles side by side. If you have a 4 hour box, you probably have a 24-hour candles side by side, just like some of you guys highlighted, right? Oh, there, damn it, there was the chart right there. But what we want to see, right, is we want to, I mean, that would qualify more as a box. Um, but we want to see that price is not staying side by side on the 24-hour, but has established a wider range where price goes up, comes back down, goes back up, right? That's the box. That's the 24-hour Potter box that we're looking for leading into empty space. Right? Is it okay to trade the 4 hour boxes that you guys have identified? Of course, right? If it leads to empty space and it's a good setup and it costs risk to reward is on point, awesome. But I want you to be super duper clear, right? There is a difference. We want to see those rotations. We want to see price moving up and down. And that's how, again, that's how we label the lower time frame areas. Same thing. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Did I go over yours? Let me see. I must have missed it. Looking. Why am I not seeing yours? Did you post it in the right channel? Oh, there it is. Damn! That thing ripped, didn't it? There you go. That's good. Yep. That looks better. Perfect. Good. Not a box, but close enough, right? Well, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, again, same tomato, tomato, I guess with that one. You do have 1, 2, 1, 2, but not a box. Definitely a range on the 24-hour. But this is, so do you guys see the difference between that candle side by side and then the full up and down and up and down? That's what we want to see, because it's a wider range that you're building, creating more, you're generating more future velocity. So, or potential energy, if you will. All right. Does anybody have any questions on their chart, any chart, on what I just went over? I feel like we need to kind of hover around this area. What's up, mailman?
Yo, can you hear me, G?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up, brother?
Yeah, hey man. Really, really quick, and this is gonna sound a little redundant, and it's not pointed at anyone in particular, but I think this is gonna help a lot of people. Um, I think what you should do, just really quick on a chart, is pull up a chart that has like a typical box. I know you like to do like the Mara one a lot, but like I think you need to like zoom like way in where you have a candle open and a candle closed next to each other. Circle that and show people like that's what is really considered one tap, and then like show them in that same box like that same thing. Like, I know it seems a little redundant, but like I think for me, when I was learning this like way before, I just could not grasp the concept of what a quote unquote touch is. And I think there's a lot of people that still aren't quite understanding what a touch is. And so I think you should like pull up a chart really quick and just like zoom like way far in and show them like, hey, these two candles, one is closing at this price range, one's opening at this price range, and like show them like, hey, this right here is considered one touch. Because I think there's some people that still just might not
Are
be
you
getting.
are you talking about like where a candle closes at the floor, like this right here, like
Yes,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
zoom like way far in and like show them like, hey, this is what is considered one touch. That right there is one touch,
Mm,
guys. That isn't, two. When like he says two actual
yeah.
touches, he means something like that. And
Right.
then that's one. And then somewhere along that same line, because that's your floor,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere along that same line would be a second touch. But I think that's what a lot of people are not understanding, is what an actual touch is. Because
Right.
they'll see two candles together and they think that that's two, because it has to be two on each side for you to have a box. One at
Right.
the top,
Exactly.
one at the bottom, one top, one bottom.
That's right. Yeah. So, to his point, and I'll, again, just using what I have in front of me, and then we'll go, obviously look somewhere else. But yeah, a touch is going to be a response off of that floor, right? So for just looking at this example here, if this was establishing a box, which kind of does, but I guess it does, doesn't it? This would count, right? As if it was in the box, that would actually count as one touch, because price hits and responds the next day, right? And just like on the 5-minute candle, right, or intraday, you wouldn't look at price hitting and then reversing off of it and saying that's two bounces, right? So it's when price comes into contact, and it might be something where you hover, right, around. So you pull back, you're green, red, cut that wick off, and then you're green again. That actually in a session could be qualified as one. right? So it's the rotations between resistance and support that qualify it like as a touch. And I'm kind of searching here as I speak. So it looks like maybe I could do it here, right? So let's count these. So one touch, right? That's two, or that's one on the top. This is one. Together, they're one. Together, they're one. That sounds like some hippie shit. Together, they're one. Now, this one actually hits the floor, bounces up to that median, and then flushes the deck. So I appreciate you bringing that up, mailman. That was really useful. And hopefully, yes, and I'm trying to scan through here. So even something like this, folks, would be counted inside of a box as one. So does everybody understand that it's actually the response or rotation off of it? So if you sit on that floor for 3 days and you have tiny little candles and you don't move, that's what, because it's imagine it's just on the 5 minute, Supreet, right? Just imagine it's on the 5 minute. You wouldn't nab that down as what, we pulled back and we bounced 4 times because you have 4 candles sitting on that floor, right? On the 5 minute, it would be, we pulled back, little sideways action and then we bounced, but that would still only count as one bounce. It's an Oracle. Yeah, let's check that one out. First box. First box where? Oh, this one? I think of those like it was 2 4 hours. Yeah, you could look at it that way, Radar. I don't know. Art, Radar AC. I just something about that. No, you don't have to change it, dude. Just because I have an impediment. Yeah, you're good. Is it possible for you to do live on NQ? Yeah, yeah, we could do that. I mean, well, I guess while I'm here, we'll. So again, I'm just gonna go through, and if they're not perfect, yeah, there's one. That's a perfect box right there. Perfect. All right. So count it with me, everybody. One. Okay. One. You went up. Next day you open, just like it's the open of a 5 minute candle. You go up and you reverse. One. Price finds a floor and reverses. That's one. Here. That actually, hold on. That right there, all three of those counts as two. So it's not just it's the rotation and then whatever it takes to push you back down. That's the session, or that's the resistance that's getting touched once, even if it takes 5 or 3 candles to actually do it. Yes, I'm gonna have you guys redo your homework. Um, so right here, right off this wick, that would be two off the floor, two off the top, right? Here, oh God, but are you serious? Yeah, I'm so serious, right? That's three. That's three. That's your entry candle. Why? Price is closing outside. Oh boy, attention to detail is so damn important. Look at that. Just accepted, right? And also inside of the wick, what do you think that's doing to sellers who drove that price down, got what they wanted, right? For a moment anyway, and then immediately back up. So it's those rotations inside of a box that actually make it a box, right? If this was a bounce, that would be one bounce, right? If this was a rejection, that would be one rejection. That's one bounce. That's one tap. That's two. No, that one's sorry. That's one. That's two, and that's one. Is it? No, that actually is. It is a box. It's just enough to be a box. Yeah, it's definitely a box. Definitely a box for sure. Is that a sneaky little gap that I see down there at 20,000? Where are we? I'm just thinking about stuff. All right. Let's do a few more. So I'm gonna, even though this is not, it might be actually, again, I'm looking at the whole enchilada, which is probably okay. So 24-hour one. All right. So here's a perfect example. Look, one, two, three candles, four, five, and then you fall. That's one tap. Here, one, two, three, one, one, right? Two, two. All right. Is it anybody confused on what we just went over? And appreciate you, mailman, for bringing that up. One, one, two, two, three, go. Juicy. One. Look. So let's see. Pop up, pop, stop. One, pop up, sideways. One, 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 two, break, come back, punch through it. Build, rip. Oh, I think we got that one, didn't we? I think so. But anyway, so that there you have it. Let's see what else we got. This is hot dog water. Let's do it on a stock. I don't normally do it on. Oh, well, I already have it charted. Son of a bitch. All right. Well, one, two, one, two, build before the three. Yeah, I want you guys to go build your boxes again for homework tonight. I want you guys to build the boxes up again. Try that. Try that again. Wow, what a clear entry. One, two, three. One, two. Obviously, three, you're dead. So there you go. I mean, do you count those wicks at the beginning on what this? On which one? I'm sorry. The wicks, are they coming off the same price mark? If they're not coming off the same price mark, then I leave them alone. Even more, this one? Or do you see something I don't have charted yet? Yeah, at the entry with into the box with the wicks off of it. That right there, I don't count that as a third. I mean, it doesn't go up and tap the top, no. But that's the third time. It builds, it doesn't lose anything after the fourth day, breaks over its eyes, and pops out. So that would be like the third break or the third rotation, right? But you build, oftentimes the sign that something's going to break is it won't even go and touch. I've seen this a lot, and you can keep your eyes peeled for it. You'll build, right? You'll have every opportunity to fall, and you won't do it. And this creates short volume before the break, and then that gets squeezed out. So do a few more. I think I did snow. Yes. Points. Yes. Candle closes. See, mailman, and that's where having people, students, and people who have done this in the class is helpful because I don't think about that. You know what I mean? Like I just see boxes. I don't. So it's hard to remember that that was also something I struggled with as well. So, um, as long as the box doesn't get punched through, it's a valid box. If it gets punched through, does it invalidate the box? It does as a signal, yes, but it can still be used as a skeleton or, you know, yeah, it can still be used, especially if you punch through it like really, really quickly. Those levels would still remain. So TTD just needs to get outside of this 3115 and we might have a recovery. That's going to be a sweet one whenever it does get some buying volume. Little range right there. I think so, yeah. Do you limit your biz options? Yeah, I have a percentage of my portfolio that I use for low risk or use for higher risk. Yeah, everybody should have that. Yeah, I'm gonna go over punchbacks. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get to it today, but see, this is why I do these classes this way, is because I don't want to move forward before everybody understands. And it's those little things that might end up helping the class as a whole take that next step forward. So I know some people are a little impatient. I'm probably, there's probably a few people who are like, get it over with, but this is the important stuff. So why Amazon was a perfect setup. Sideways candles, lower time frame box, empty space directly up above with a floor that this floor right here that price was trying to get above. So naturally we could mark out this candle there, this candle here. It also had a nice uptrend that we were tracking as well on a lower time frame that it ended up building on. And so this was just and then if you even go down into the lower time frame, one of the key elements here to why this actually worked was not only did you hold your floor, you dipped, right? And if you dip, we dip, and then it rips. No, but before something breaks out, oftentimes or moves up, it'll dip down and then pull itself back up. And so at that point, consolidation range on Amazon is pretty consistent. Um, Not every day that it or not every session does it work, but there's a pretty clean average to when something's. If you actually look, it's 8 days or 10, basically the same amount of time here and you don't immediately break. And the same thing goes here, right? It's on that last day that price actually gets to moving. This is a standard lot. Look, for the time that Amazon will kind of extend in, or excuse me, consolidate in. Um, this looks like it goes for a little bit longer, but almost on average. Oh, I didn't read your whole message. Um, yeah, the more you practice, the more you get cool. Yeah, you get better. This is important foundation. I feel core to understanding boxes. Yes. This position was given, there was multiple entries on Amazon. One at the break over 210.11 and then off of 211.12. And then the last chance was right there at 212.75, where you had those two wicks off to your left. on one second. And there we go. All right. My OBS is a little bit off. For your viewing pleasure. All right. No, the targets were the floors. Now, yes, 50% of the empty space, was obviously one of the first potential targets, but because this empty space is so grandiose, right? We don't expect for that to, necessarily happen. And so when we have all of these floors that you just dropped, this is typically the best targeting system, right? Is if you have floors that are clear like this that you flush through, you can utilize those as targets. Funny enough, I mean, look, the wick right there in the most recent price action is exactly where you stop. So those floors just happen to coincide with those. I mean, this is why I say focus on the most recent price action because you're going to respond to what happened most recently. However, that same thing was true when you were falling and you responded and held that floor. Obviously, that wick is just that little bit extra, and we do include wicks as like in these areas where you see just a green candle but a big green wick. Yes. But that would be a target, right? Immediately to the upside. Oftentimes can be a trim target if it's before a candle close, as Mailman was just saying. So, all right. Now, homework's done. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and send you guys off with, and I want you guys to take your time with this one. Again, feel free to use the study room, listen to those guys in there, ask them questions as well. I don't know if they're going to be live, but you again, the study room is yours to use or to organize a little meeting. No rebellions or coups, though, are allowed, please. But other than that, too soon? Probably. Probably. All right. So let's again, um, we're going to go over really quickly these slides just to recap before I send you off. All right. So again, going over the boxes and what they're made of. All right. And this is 1, 2, all right, 3, 1. See that? 1, 2. All right. So we're going to be looking at the points of contact, candle closes, right? If you get rotations that kind of fall short just a hair, I mean, again, discretion is needed. But we're focusing again on the top of the boxes or excuse me, the bottom of the boxes, either candle closes, right? If your wicks are all off the same mark and you got body candle closes on the same, kind of like you would here, or actually, no, I take that back. Like you would like with that and that counts, right? So that would be a floor. And this is important because before we punch through the box, right? You got to understand what the box is, or you got to be able to spot it, right? Because otherwise, you're going to be slinging shit, right, at things that aren't punchbacks. And that's what I don't want. Is I don't want you guys, again, to have an incomplete understanding. And then sellers, obviously, the same thing, guys. The same thing. Yeah, Junior said he'll be in the study room tonight. He's got to work that in and out off. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's a big burger, dude. All right. So sellers obviously are going to be the same thing as buyers, right? We can let some wicks go, but it's points of contact and candle closes that are going to be the top of our box. Now, cost basis, right? That's not as discretionary. You're not always going to see price gravitating, on the lower time frames. You should, but that's not what we're using to indicate or clear up whether a box or not. It's a box or not. Now, with tonight's homework, feel free to look for things that have already punched back, right? Or already had boxes. And I'll give you guys an example of one that happened recently on Dow. I think I showed you guys this one before, right? But this is clarity. And it's not always It sometimes there is a hunt, right? We're hunting to find these things because sometimes the market and there has been periods where we're building large ranges and money has rotated into some obscure part of the market where dinosaurs live. Like that's obviously the time where if you don't see anything, those are the times I take it as a cue from the market to take a step back. Right. What if it only touches the top? Then it's not a box. If none of these are off the bottom and you have three off the top, if actually, so this goes into, let me explain this theory really quick, especially intraday. And for some reason, I think of Jorge because Jorge has asked me. Have always remember the weirdest shit, but it's like I when I see that on the ETFs, when I see one bounce and then three rejections at a top, you know what that tells me? That you pulled the volume up, and off of that one bounce, you tried to break that, and that is exhausting for buyers. And because you did not leave the proper supplies underneath you, the bounces that you need to leave volume behind, it is easier to reverse. So if you see three rejections off of the top of something that looks like a box but doesn't have a floor, you can possibly expect a rejection or reversal off of something that has rejected. You could write this down, something that has rejected the top three times but only has a singular bounce at the bottom. If it fails to break out, or if it breaks out and gets sucked back in, you might be looking at a reversal. It's a lack of strength. And again, it does matter on what you leave behind. And so when you're building a box and you don't build anything underneath you, or you rip too fast and then go and try and break something and then try three times, you're coming back. But when you come back, you didn't pack. You didn't leave the volume. You didn't leave your supplies. So you're going to go further down to find them. All right. A little bit, a little bit. I used to be a rapper. All right. So everybody clear. Are we feeling better about the boxes, folks? Feeling better about boxes and ranges? All right. I'll repeat it one more time. So price, right? Let's just make believe here. I see. No, we're not going to make believe. We're going to pretend. All right. Now, I want you to just ignore everything, right? Over to your left. This doesn't exist. Okay. Poopy. Just giving you an example here using the price action that I can see in front of me. Now, even in this example, you leave volume behind, right? Yeah, actually, I don't know if this one's going to work. Hmm. Hmm. It's tough to be able to spot something like that because it doesn't happen all the time. So the way that this would look, right? And I'll just explain it this way. Let's say, right, you pop up, quick retest, and you rip here. You fail to break it and you pull back. You pop up, you pop up, and you pop up, right? Leaving one bounce. You came off of one bounce and then you tried three times. You did not pack enough supplies. This is not enough to support price. So if that fails, you more than likely are going to see a reversal off of that. Three rejections, and this can be lower time frame, this can be higher time frame. I prefer it kind of on the hourly 4 hour. Um, do I take most of my entries off the third touch or bounce in that box? Say two on the bottom, three on the yeah. Three off the top, just for an example. I remember you talking about that. Yes, yeah. I got better there than one with yours. Got it better on. Well, I mean, I don't have a real example, unfortunately, to show you here, because again, this is stuff that's kind of obscure. What do you mean when I say bounce? Price finds something to bounce off of. So, again, in this make believe scenario, that would be price hitting your target, pulling back, right? Bouncing. And then when you bounce, you try to break it multiple times. You just keep tapping, right? And that again is exhausting. You've already exhausted yourself to get here. You pulled back real quick for a swig of water, and then you go and you try to go break this formidable 24-hour box. Nah, right? And that's where if there's no floor to support you, you'll see sellers take over and drive price down. Are entries taken off of any time frame? Let me discuss this. The 24-hour time frame typically is taken at the end of the day or towards the end of the day. I have triggers built on lower time frames to see if our to potentially trigger that trade on a lower time frame and give me a better entry. Um, the 4 hour, right? Any 4 hour setup usually is translated pretty easily down to the hourly, so I'll try to correlate the two. Um, But I mean, here's the deal, right? If you're a day trader, you would be focusing primarily on the hourly down to the 5, right? With most of your trades based on the 24-hour, but focusing on how that hourly is interacting with it. Did Tesla do that today on your short? Did Tesla do what on what today? Did Tesla hit the top 3 times and reject? But no, not every time frame, right, is going to provide a solid entry. A 5 minute candle can wick up to a 24-hour top and then die off. You know what I mean? So like preferably on bigger pushes on 24-hour boxes, I'll get my opportunity. Audio bugs got me. What's going on? Can you not hear? Um, But typically, so this is how my day usually goes. 24-hour candle opens. It's either if I haven't taken that position, I'm looking at where it's at in respect to my resistance or my trigger. I move down to the 4 hour to see if anything clears up. If I can clear that up or find a lower time frame box, I do. From that point, when I have everything cleaned on the 4, I drop typically down to the 2 and the 1. The 2 hour and the 1 hour virtually the same, but because stocks sometimes clear up on different time frames, I allow that 2 hour as a way to consolidate things if the hourly is not clear. At that point, the hourly serves as the bridge between the 24-hour and the lower time frames. So preferably higher time frame hourly candle closes would be something that would spur me into a potential trade, coming out of a box or coming out of a 24-hour range. Um, Damn, you can't hear me. Now, what were you what were you saying? Uh, did Tesla do that today on your short? Did it hit like 3 times? Just elaborate for me a little bit. I did take Tesla short today, obviously. No, Tesla did not. I actually made more money to the upside. And I got rid of my shorts, guys. I sold them off. My last contracts for Tesla, I'll tell you right now. So I was filled on 395 calls for Tesla for March 9th at 42 cents and then 390 calls at 77 cents. I did wait so long, and I am not mad that I got stopped out. I'm numb to this now at this point. Like when it comes to if you guys watched me today, I was just all the way in problem solving mode. Fully I was in a flow state as these kids say. So me taking this short provided a great entry. I took it. I was up like 35, 40%. And then I look down because we're watching how fast it's falling. And again, every time I take a trade, I'm always looking up, right? At what or where my trade could go wrong. And the answers are never far away. I believe that I can solve I really do believe that I can solve any problem that I get myself into. So like with Tesla, it was pretty simple, right? We're moving down and there's one thing that can stop us. One thing. And by God, that one thing fucking did stop us. The only wick, the only price that we had in front of us to separate us from this empty space, and it hit. So I had to be prepared. I knew what time it was when I took this trade. So as we approach, right, I'm expecting are we going to see a response off of this particular price mark? And if we do, right, there's a good chance that Tesla, and I believe, yeah, it was a 3 minute, would break back up if it was able to recover said floor, and B, break over that 385.35. This is all empty. And right before that announcement, right, I actually had trimmed off the majority of these hedges. Right, I had every once in a while the audio cuts. Is this better? I might have had my mic pointed slightly away from me. So here's what I'm doing, right? I take longer expiration puts. I get a great entry, and then I see a lower time frame reversal. Okay, so this is me doing two things at once, but I know that by managing one, I'm circumventing the losses from the other. So I'm going to, in my mind, I'm saying, okay, I'm about to slap a day trade. I am day trading Tesla back up through the area that I don't want it to go. A, it's clear. B, it's empty space. C, it's bouncing off of a 24-hour wick and it fell fast to get there. Again, this is stuff that you will get better at. I mean, it's obviously taken me years, but I just happen to also be in the right place at the right time, right? I leave my runners on Tesla. We're getting into the end of the day. I trimmed off some more contracts as we got to the 393. I think it goes up like 300, 400%. And then the news slaps. So I have an opportunity when the floor gets recovered and it starts moving through this old structure here that kind of held us down, right? It ended up extending itself. And as per usual, right, 50% of that range is now what's respected. But I knew that if it broke through that, right, that there was a really high chance that it was going to go not only for a full retest, but might even go and retest the 24-hour empty space, right? Because that's just a flat ass candle. So anyway, all of this just essentially allowed for me to sell these contracts at the end of the day on Tesla for $590. I had a $1,400 position and I was able to circumvent all of my losses from holding on. And yes, I probably could have just vacated the trade at 388.62, but I figured I'd let it again since I had circumvented my losses. Because here's my goal, folks. And I know that right now you're probably like, well, why didn't you just take your profit and then get out without any losses and hang on to your calls, right? That's perfectly logical. Totally get it. I'm here to make $20,000 to $30,000 on Tesla. So if I scrape my knees or don't make a damn thing on my first attempt to do it, all right, fuck it. And I know, again, that's kind of, I'm focused on my goal and it either goes from point A to point B. So if that's what I'm expecting and my first entry sucks or it gets reversed upon, all right, I'm going to deal with that on the lower time frame and then I'll find another good place to get it. And you could just say, that's my way, right? If you decide that again, the system will tell you what you need to do. If the floor on that 5 minute and 15, 20 minute gets recovered right here in pre-market, you can go ahead and get out. You can go ahead and get out. That's your battle, right? And that's technically not something that sellers want to have reclaimed. So you could totally get out. And again, this is me as my own human. I'm deciding what I can tolerate and what I can't. Right. So obviously, I'm really glad that I did decide to get out of those shorts as it climbed higher. I figured as soon as we were over 390, 335, it was a done deal. And I saved myself a royal ass whooping. What was the stop loss for my Tesla calls? Well, when I got in, that was really where I got in, the red candle here. Let's see, and that was, let me not guess here. Yeah, this is, yeah, right here. That red candle right there. Did you hold on at 383 because the candle never closed below that floor and it held on? Yes, yes, of course. Well, at that point, too, Raiders Life, I had already nailed this trade, pop up, filled the empty space, right? So at that point, the floor is my stop loss. That is my trail stop for whatever I have left, which is profit. So again, this was, me looking much further down because I know at the end of all of this, right? And we'll be singing this song whenever it happens. We're going to see a fat red candle go straight to 367.80. I know this. Why? How do I know this? Because this is just how Tesla moves. When it sees target, goes to target. And when it comes to empty space and velocity, it does that. So I have experience with this stock and how it moves. And this is something that you don't necessarily have to have traded it for years, but you do need to go back and you do need to track, chart. And this, I recommend this for everybody. Go chart and watch how, or even observe how long. How long does it rip when it has, nothing up above it? And these are good things to kind of just get an idea. That's terrifying, farm boy. What exactly is that for? So again, this was, not what I wanted, but it turned out to play out in my favor. So also IWM was nuts today. I mean, we had people in the Discord, somebody posted this might be one of the top percentage gains for the month or maybe even the year. 4,500%. I think he said he bought them at 9 cents. Dude, you know what? My analysis was so good today that even the scammer couldn't help but thank me, dude. Look at this. This is that no stop loss Steve dude that we kicked out years ago. That actually might be a real gain for once. But even he had to come back and say thank you, dude. That's crazy. Yeah, right. He's still a clown. Ivy said, "What should I say?" I said, "I don't know, call him a bad word or something." I can't say exactly. Alex, you're nuts. You're hilarious. Thank you, Papa. That's funny. All right. Well, I tell you what, guys. I just wanted to not say that on the class recording. So, um, I'm trying to decide because the next thing is just punchbacks. We've done an hour and 30 minutes here. Do you guys want to have the rest of the night to go ahead and tomorrow we're going to hit it hard? Probably have a good 2.5, 3 hour class. We'll get through punchbacks and start working into the options chain. Yeah, that's right. I feel like so the homework, and this is what I want. Please listen carefully, okay? I want you guys to go back, and it could be a punchback that's already happened. I want, now that you have a clear idea of points of contact, right? We have a clear idea of what makes it one, right? And what makes it two, right? The separation of time. So go redo your crappy boxes, as Waylon said. Go redo your boxes, right? Go go actually, and yes, you can go in the study room tonight, and I would recommend doing this as well. I want you to find clear 24-hour. Okay. Now I'm going to leave the weekly off. I just want 24-hour boxes. All right. With clear points of contact on both sides. All right. So I'll give you an example really quick, Buster, before the class ends. So going back to the trade that I took on Tesla, and this is going to be the case with everything I do, everybody. Literally, everything that I do is going to be my stop loss going green is going to be off of red. Okay. It's going to be off of or through, right? Or basically trying to avoid the structure underneath me. So for my stop loss, right, on Tesla, and I actually yeah, for my stop loss on Tesla, the top of this box was numero uno, right? So you look, you follow this price action. Look, I'm safe. Pop up, hold the top, I'm safe. Pop up, right? Uh-oh. Watch this, dude. This is nuts. Split it right in half, right? But regardless, you're building, you're retesting, and even off of those retests, which come off of the red wicks, sorry. Let's see, 1 minute. Yeah, take a look at this. Now I can actually see. So you see the difference? I feel like I understand with a huge tub of dumb on the side. Well, don't feel like that. I got you. I got you. All right. Well, let's man, what a day. What a day. Let's go ahead and close this up. Again, your guys' homework, go find those boxes. All right. And if you guys want me to take a look at anything here as we get into the end of the day, we'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.